No, larceny is not so great. If you're
No.
willing to spend a little extra, rabbit hole is the way to go.
Okay, I'll check it out. My son's sending me
Awesome.
Uncle Nearest. There's no Uncle
Awesome.
Nearest.
Tonight it's a celebratory l'chaim. We caught someone we've been after a very long time.
Is that so?
The guy that has been breaking into all the houses, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, good.
They caught that guy?
Now he's in the big house. And that
Yeah,
guy's not getting out so soon.
Why not? Aren't they releasing all these guys the minute they get them?
It
Yeah,
depends
that's what
on
they
what
do
you're
in
there
Chicago.
for.
Chicago is terrible.
What,
When
the
did you
crime?
get him? Tonight or last night?
Yeah, tonight.
Oh, okay.
I left the house in the middle of dinner. Baruch Hashem.
Good. Mashiach just because it just happened today. Chav Dalet Davis is my Hebrew birthday.
Ooh.
Chaf
So-
Daled. What's today? So today, yeah.
Last night today was Chav Dalet. It's also the Tanya's yard site.
Happy birthday.
Is that so?
Yeah.
I hear.
Yeah, we should all sing happy birthday.
What did they
Happy
say? What did they say when a gadol's nifter and another gadol takes him over? I guess. Right? So there you go.
But the Shemi Shmuel's in between.
All right, that's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
He's old, but he's not that old.
Yeah. All right. I see an Oilam didn't get the message that we're starting early. I'm gonna feel guilty. Yeah, okay. I guess meanwhile, let's start with a vart that I wanted to say over last night. A couple of Magid this year said it. I get this 7-minute thing from somebody in Lakewood. He said this over, and then this today when I was listening to one of the they also said it from Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, who says how much stronger breaking midas is than even fasting and davening, right? Because I think it was 10 mandomrim. That's what we left off with last night, right? 10 mandomrim, 10 shitas of why Esther invited Haman to the Suda, right? There were 10 shitas. If you look at Rashi,
It was 12, no?
12. I think it was 12. I don't know. I didn't count them. I thought it was okay. Yeah. So if you look at the Rashi on the left side, the second line down in the Rashi, says Yargish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning one of the reasons was that the Esther wanted Vashti. Esther wanted Haman to come to the party, so that maybe Hashem would be margish that Esther's bringing in the enemies, right? So Rashi says, "Sha'afani mekareva seinein shel Yisrael," that I'm also bringing in the enemies of Yisrael. Inami, or another pshat, Yargish sha'ani tzricha lahachnif rasha zeh ulazalzel b'chvaydi. Right? He's saying that Hashem has to see that I have to kiss up to this Russia, Haman, and I have to be mezalzel in my covered, right? And Memela, since I'm going to be mezalzel in my covered, once I do that, that's enough. Now it's already showing. That's enough of now we can get a kapara, right? So Reb Chaim Shmulevitz comes out and says, once he says, so God's Klal Yisrael was fasting on Pesach, right? And they were davening, and all that didn't go until Shviras Hamidus, till she had to lower herself lower her covet, and then that broke the camel's back, and that's what made the Rebbeinu Shalom change the Gezerah, right? That's I thought it was a Geschmack of art, because we already said, like, the Mishnah Berurah says that if fasting is very nice, that fasting does a tshuva, but if you stop in the middle of your meal and you don't finish it, that has the equivalent of many, many fasts, because that you're breaking your midas. I think that's what he means by that. You're breaking your midas. So breaking your midas can have a lot of power. Anyways, that's what Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says. All right, so now we're ready to continue here. Okay, so then we got enough guys on. Okay, yeah.
That,
Fine.
that first shot in Rashi makes any sort of sense to you?
No, I have no idea what the first Pshat of Rashi is. I have no idea. Right? What Hashem is, you trying to fool Hashem?
Or like Hashem doesn't know?
Right. It's almost as crazy as your Harry Potter shot the other night.
Oh. I was figuring I needed to relate to Amud somehow, and I just figured maybe he didn't know.
Anyways, no, I have no idea what that means. That Hashem thinks he lost Esther, right? That's what it sounds like. That he lost Esther. That, okay, now she's going on to the other side.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So where we leave off?
Done for tonight.
I think Ashkechei Rabba, Maravu Elio.
Chaf base. I think we left off by Chaf base. Misha ain't no tefillin.
Hold on a second. Somebody's got to mute.
Langer, mute yourself,
Langer.
Oh, wait,
Can you mute?
Langer.
All right. He did it. What'd you say, Reb Hannah?
No, I'm wrong. I thought we were starting Kitzer. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah.
No, you're like 8 lines down from the Amud base. Bottom 8 to 10 lines from the bottom.
Yeah, Rava Amar Lefnei Shever Gain, whatever that is.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Rabbi Amar. Oh, so this is
Rabbi,
right. That's
sorry.
what we're up to. Right. We had done. I think that's a pshat, doctor. We did 10 reasons. Now we have 2 more. We have 2 more reasons here. So again, we're discussing why Esther invited Haman. So Rabbi Amar, Lefi Shever Gain. Rabbi said in the name of.
One second. Where are you starting from?
About 1, 2.
15b3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 13 lines up from the bottom. Rabba Omar.
Okay.
See it? So Rabba Omar Lifnei Shever Gain, he said in front of Lifnei Shever Gain, before Shever means broken, becomes the what do you call it? What's going? Going, like from the word, I don't know if that's where the word going comes from, but it means chashivus or whatever it is. Yeah. So, meaning she wanted to give Haman before he got busted. Basically, she wanted to give him his time in the spotlight. When it's hot, they're gonna prepare the what do you call it, the meals. Right, so yeah, so that's somebody else has got to mute also. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this.
So you're more than welcome to say that I don't want to hear.
Who's somebody else has got to mute? I trying to mute it.
Michael Austin.
I did it. I got it. I have the controls here, but I just couldn't figure out who. Okay. So anyway, so b'chaim mashis is mishtayim. Fine. So meaning that basically, so Belshazzar, the way Belshazzar died is that they had a whole party and then he was killed that night. So she from there, Esther saw that when they have these drunken meals, that usually leads to people dying, right? Which I don't know why Vashti wouldn't be a riot to that Vashti also was killed that way. Okay, fine. Ashka Rabbi Baravul Elio. So Baravul met Elio. Amarle Kaman Chazia Esther Va'avda Hachi. Why did Esther decide to do that? What she see that she decided to do this, to invite Haman? Amarle, Kekulu Tanayim, Kekulu Amarai. She had all the reasons of the Tanayim and all the reasons of the Amarai, meaning all the reasons that we just said till now. Right? So that's meaning if that was what that's Elio said that she had all of those reasons in mind. Yeah. Fine. And Haman said over his wealth, his covet and his wealth, and how many kids he had. How many kids did Haman have? Samarav Lamed. He had 30. Asara Mesu, 10 died. Vasara Nitlu, 10 were hung, which is an interesting thing, right? So 10 died, I guess, in the war, right? 10 were hung. And 10 had to go knocking on doors because they were so poor. It wasn't 10 kids that went knocking on doors, it was 70. It says that they were the ones that were full now had to go out and rent themselves out for bread. Al tikri sveim ela shivim. Don't read it the ones that are satisfied. Read it as 70. They were 208 kids. Shenemar v'roiv banav. V'roiv b'gematria masan v'arbeisar hava. So what do you mean? Roiv. So again, vav reish vav vez would be 214, right? So Amar Nachman B'Yitzav v'roiv ksiv. It says it without the extra vav. So b'kitzer, the short of it is basically that we're using a gematria to say that roiv banav is as a gematria that represents all his kids. So 208. Fine.
What's the purpose of this? Like saying how many midas there were, or how many makas there were in Mitzrayim? Just to put down Haman.
It's to put him down, but that it was a bigger punishment.
Well, we just said that the Goyin, we started off with saying Lifnei Shever Goyin, right? So this was his Goyin. Is that what this is all about?
I get. What do you mean? Why you're asking why we care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
It probably makes the nace bigger, the victory bigger. He was so powerful. He had all these princes and army chiefs and stuff, all related to him. It's a lot of, it makes your army and your koyach stronger. If there's blood, if there's blood loyalty.
Like you see Tzias Mitzrayim, how we darshan up in the Haggadah, how many makas they really
It's not lahavdil. This is also nice. It's not lahavdil.
Right. I guess it's the same.
No, but one was to say the Gvura of the Rabbanu Shalom, and the other one was to say how low this guy was, how low they went.
Right.
It doesn't say how low we went. Why does it say how low we went?
Well, has 70 children knocking on doors. They can't have food to eat. That's not low.
Well, I wonder are those disagreeing with each other? The 208 disagreeing with that 70, or or they don't have to disagree, right?
No.
Yeah, I hear. Okay, so let's see. So what?
I'm sorry. Okay, just a quick question. How does that stem with by Mard Sor? We say Roiv Banov. Roiv Banov, that's 10. According to that, it's not Roiv. It's according to the
I mean, how does that fit in with the Zemmer?
It's a 10th. It's a 5th.
I hear. Roiv Banov v'kinyanov. Very good. I have no idea. You have a teretz in that? You heard anything like that? Here's Kasha. How does it fit with the Zemer on Hanukkah? It says Roiv Banov. Says Roiv Banov v'kinyanov ala'itz talisa. It's not Roiv. If you go with 208, 10 were only hung. According to any of the shita, the minimum shita was 30. Right?
Should be 3.
I heard once of shot that because they chopped the kids' heads off first, so it was only most of their body.
But tonight we're going to see in the Gemara, I think it's tonight, that they all died at the same exact time. Right, that's why you have to do in one breath.
Yeah, right. But the Zemer is still in conflict because it doesn't say in the Zemer Viroi Banav.
Right.
That's a teretz I heard also, that they chopped the heads off, and if I remember correctly, I don't remember where it was, but maybe Yaakov Tuel told me it's an Arab somewhere that brings that down. But I don't know that they're all killed.
Yeah, but when it comes to songs, we always make adjustments. Look at all the singers. So.
Camping riots from the Gunim. Fair enough.
Exactly.
Fair. It's called poetic license. It's called Paris, right? Poetic license. I don't know. Anyways, okay. Balayalu nada the Shnasamela, right? So now we get to the most exciting part of the whole Megillah, right? So that night, the melech couldn't sleep. So Amar Tanach, another the shnas malchus shel olam means the king of the world couldn't sleep, whatever that means, right? Rabbanan Ami nadadu el yoinim nadadu tachtainim, meaning it was both the upper and the lower. Nobody could sleep. Yeah, not Hashem and not Achashverosh. Rava Amar shnas hamelech Achashverosh shinas hamelech Achashverosh mamish. Right? It was from his actual sleep. Yeah, because why? Naflule milsa bedaite. Something fell into his das. Amar mai de kaman de zeminte Esther Haman. What is this that Esther invited Haman? Dilma eitza kashakli luve dehi gavel mikdale. Maybe they're taking an eitza together, and that person, and they're coming to get me, meaning talking in third person, and nobody is telling me, right? So Hadar Amar. If that's the case, then is there nobody that's has rachmanos on me to have a megila that would tell me? So this fits into one of the pshatim we said before, why she invited him, because she wanted. This is a proof to one of the shittas before that said that she invited Haman in order to create jealousy from Achashverosh. So l'chara, this Gemara is mamish raya to that shita. Okay, but we said either way that she did it for all of the reasons. So Hadar Amar Dilma Ika Inish Tibusa. No, so maybe he's saying so nobody's looking out for me. He says maybe somebody I did a tie before, but like Parati. And I never paid him back. And that's why people are staying away from me. And they're not telling me about this new thing that they're out to get me. And he said, bring the history book, the Unicrime, and let them be read. So what's the lashon nikrime, right? That they should be read, right? So they read by themselves. Yeah. So let's see what that means. By yimtzaksiv, right? I'm sorry, by yimotzei kosov, and right, it was found that it was in kosov mibayale. What do you mean kosov? It should be kosab. Right? What that it was found. Right? What do you mean that it's writing now? Sounds like one is a present tense. What do you mean it's a present tense? It should have been written in the past tense. Melamed on Tamid Aleph now. Shimshi moichek shimshi, right? That he was erasing it from the history book because he didn't want that. Yeah, because he was the scribe and he didn't want it. Yeah, and for Gabriel Kaisev, and Gabriel was writing it. Right, so
why do people call their kids Shimshi for?
Right, so I don't know. I guess that's why is it Shimshi or Shimshai? Yeah, I don't know. Either way, it's close enough that I don't think it would be such a. I thought it was. I was wondering that. I mean, as the kashas go, I mean, there's bigger kashas, but I thought the same thing. Who would want to name their kid this? Right. It's also right. They also say that Shimshi, he was Haman's son.
Yeah.
Right, and Gabriel would write it. Okay, so the cynic in me has a different kasha. Why do you need him to erase it and Gabriel to rewrite it? Why can't Gabriel just come and not let him erase it?
Because they had a contract with Gabriel. He has to appear X amount of times.
Okay.
There's other malachim around. What are the other guys doing?
I don't know.
Archibald has it Shimshai.
What?
Archibald has it as Shimshai.
Shimshai. Okay, so that's what are you saying, Rabbi Bennett?
Rashi describes Shimshai, Soifa HaMelech, and what is his characteristic trait? Soini Yisrael Hoya. That's Rashi.
Very good, Tak. Is a Soini Yisrael. That's an interesting lashon from Rashi. There's a Soini Yisrael.
Archibald brings down he's also the scribe to King Cyrus, as pointed out in Sefer Ezra, and that he's the one who convinced King Cyrus to stop the construction of the Beis Hamikdash.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. So that's So he was no tzaddik, this fellow. Okay. Fine. I mean, it's interesting. Rashi says he was a Soini Yisrael, as opposed to who in the story was not a Soini Yisrael. Right. It seems like these guys were a dime a dozen. But okay. Fine. So I'm Rav Asi Darash Rav Shila Ishkvar Tamarta. If the writing that was on the bottom, meaning in this world, that was a schus for Yisrael, couldn't be erased by the goyim. So whatever's written in the upper worlds, right? Meaning it's for sure written in the upper worlds that can help us get out of whatever it is that we need to if whatever we need a Yeshua for. Fine. So loy nasa imoy dover, right? So they said to Achashverosh, nothing was done for him. So Amarava, loy mibnei sha'ayiv and Asmar, they didn't say that to Achashverosh because they loved Mordechai. Ela b'nei shasayim as Haman because they hated Haman. Right? So sometimes you can get things done for you, even though ba'etzem they're not looking to help you, but they hate your enemy worse, so therefore you get out of it. Right?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly, right. That helps a lot with, sometimes you have these countries, they don't like the Jews, they just hate the Arabs more. Right? So Heichen loy, they prepared for him. Tana loy heichen, he prepared it, meaning Haman meaning Heichen loy is that they prepared the what do you call it?
Gallows.
The gallows to hang Mordechai. So it means Haman himself did it. Vasan came to Mordechai. He says, so do it to Mordechai. Amalei Manu Mordechai. Which Mordechai? Amalei HaYehudi, the Jewish one. Amalei Tuva Mordechai. He could be Yehuda. There's many Jewish ones. Amalei HaYosef B'Shar HaMelech, the one who's sitting in the by the gates. So Amalei Sagi Le Bechad Diskarta. Give him one town. Inami Bechad Nahar. Give him one river to collect all the taxes. Why do you got to do this whole thing that I described to you to walk him around like as if the king? Amalei Hanami Havli. You know what? Give him that too. Al Tabadover Mikolasha Dibarta, don't leave anything out from anything that you spoke. Fine. Vayika Chaman as a lavush as a sus. He took the lavush and the sus. Azal Ashke the Yashvi Rabbanan Kameh. So they went and they found that the Rabbanan was sitting in front of Mordechai. Umachvi lahu hilchas kamitza l'Rabbanan, and he was showing hilchas kamitza. Right? He was showing him hilchas kamitza because, like Rashi says, it was the 16th day of Nisan, and that's when they were fasting. And that's the day that you bring the Karban Aimer, which is Kmitza, which I think, l'chayra, the reason why he was learning it is because, like we learned, right? That if you can't, right? We had that with Titan and the Tinus, right? We said that if you can't bring Karbanas, then at least you talk about it and Hashem looks at it that it's maybe even better than Karbanas, or at least the equivalent, right? So that's why Mordechai was learning Hilchus Kmitza with them, because that was the Karban of the day. Anyways, keep it the Chazi Mordechai the Apik Lekable Vesuse Meyachad Biyade Vesuse. How do you read this? Keep it the Chazi Mordechai the Apik Lekable. Since he saw him coming out to the Lekable Vesuse, and Meyachad Biyade, and he had the horse, the king's horse, in his hand, meaning the saddle or whatever. Mirsus, he became scared. Amalul Rabbanan, Hi Rishia. The Mikdal Nafshikas, he's coming to kill me. Zilu Mekamai, run away from me. Dilai Sechavu Bekachalta, so you shouldn't get burnt with his coals, meaning you don't want to get killed along with me. So he shot in the south of Mordechai, Bekam Leilatzlusa. So then right then and there, he wrapped himself in his in his talis, right? Bekam Leilatzlusa, he got up to daven. Also Haman v'Yosef Leikamai, Haman came and sat in front of them. V'Oirich, and he waited until Mordechai finished davening. So he asked them, "What are you learning?" Amrulei is Macha Beis Hamikdash Kayim. That when the Beis Hamikdash was around, Mandim Nadav Mincha, somebody who's bringing a carbon mincha, Maisi Malai Kumtza de Sulta. He brings a kumtza. We said is you take your fingers like this and you put it into the flour. I mean, the kohen does this, and you go like that, and that gives, and then you pick it up, and that's a koimet. So you fill up a handful of flour, and that provides a kapara. You have a handful of flour, and it pushes away my 10,000 silver coins, right? Which is interesting because that means Haman already gave up at this point. It sounds like Haman is already, he says, okay, you're beating me. So why don't he just run away? Right? Why did he could have just run away. No, that's so I don't know. But anyways, before we go weiter, see that little toisus, bichaval, we can do all the toisus in on one daf today, right now. Yeah. So the toisus was Naphtali. You can do this toisus.
I'm not gonna say anything, Yaakov.
What?
I was thinking doing the Taisus and that's it when I saw the daf.
Yeah. The Dachi Asara Alfi Kikri Kas was Shamati, right? Taisus says, I heard Shasara Alfi Kikri Kesef that the 10,000 coins, Oilin Chatzi Shekel, Kol Echon Mi Yisrael, that is the equivalent of Chatzi Shekel for every one of Yisrael. Shayu Sheish Meis Elef Kishayotzim Mitzrayim. There was 600,000 that went out in Mitzrayim. V'Amar She'it and Achashverosh Kol Pidyainam, and that will give the Achashverosh the whole. That was the equivalent of the whole pigeon, right? So now I don't know how many. It's 600,000, right? For how by multiply by how many? So l'chayra got to go by 70 years because an entire generations. What do you call it? So if you crunch the numbers, 600,000, right? So that means you're giving a half a shekel, right? So half a shekel is what? 50. How does it go? Right? So, oh no, I'm sorry, from 20 to 70, right? Not 20. You don't only give the chatzi shekel at 20. So that's 50 years, half a shekel, right? So that's 25 shkolim. So you multiply whatever, that's the number comes out to 10,000. That's basically what they say. And that was the pigeon. Getting back to what the Gemara said a couple of days ago. That's that was the exact number. Fine. So I'm gonna lay Russia. So Mordechai said to him, "You're a Russia. Eved shekana nechasim, eved lemiv and nechasim."
Yaakov, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is the Gemara trying to insinuate that, or Tosa's trying to insinuate that Haman of Russia knew enough Torah to make these calculations, or is just something Shemayim?
No, we're going to see from the next Gemara that seems like Haman was pretty educated. We're going to see in the next Gemara in another few lines that it's a very good sign of what you're saying, because he clearly had some sort of education, right? So let's see. So anyways, so he said, Russia, the money wasn't yours anyways, because we learned in yesterday's daf, Mordechai really owned Haman, right? So Amar lei kum lavush hanimani v'rochav haisusu, get up and wear these clothing, and then ride on the horse. The boy love Malka because that's what the king wants. Amar lei lo yichilna ad ha'aynu lebeibani ba'ashkol lemazia. I can't go on the king's horse until I go to the bathhouse and Ashkol lemazia and take a haircut. It's not derech eretz to go in front of the king looking like this, which is why, if anybody got the halacha text, why I texted today, that the Aruch HaShulchan says that before you daven Shemona Esrei, you got to make sure your hair looks good, and etc., because you going in front of a king. That was the inspiration. That was the inspiration.
While you having in mind the tefillin on?
Yes, I didn't want to go down that road. I was hoping by the time Tuesday, by next Monday for the tefillin shear comes along, then we forget that halach. I was wondering.
And the Hasidim that shave their heads.
No, so then they got out of it. So you want to say it's a riot that Mordechai
And their husbands.
What? Yeah. Anyway, okay, that's Tamakash. Also, the Mefarshim ask, when is Cholamayid? How is he taking a haircut on Cholamayid? Right. So the Mefarshim, they answer that because he was as if he was in jail, since he wouldn't take a haircut because he was in mourning. So somebody who comes out of jail is allowed to take a haircut on Cholamayid. Anyway, so Shadrei Esther.
Like Yosef. By Yosef, he took a haircut on Rosh Hashanah.
Right, Taka. Very good. Right. Yeah. Well, that's even worse. I mean, we're not worse. That's a stronger kasha. Anyway, so Shadrei Esther Sartinu Lakulu Beibani Lakulu Umni. Esther sent out that she closed all the bathhouses and all the hair cutters, right? Meaning because she wanted Haman to have to give a haircut to Achashverosh. So Aili Ihu, the Beibani va'asche. So he went to the Beibani, to the bathhouse va'asche, and he gave him a bath. And then he had to go home and get a scissors, right? Because Shakal Bey Mazi, and he was cutting the hair. Bahadi Katashakali, when he was taking the hair, Ingid Be'isnach. So he kvetched. So Amalei, Amaika Misnach.
I think, Rabbi, he misspoke. It said you wanted to get a haircut from Mordechai. Esther wanted.
Well, what I said?
You said Achashverosh.
Achashverosh, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, Haman.
Haman, she wanted Haman to have to give a haircut.
She wanted Haman to give to Mordechai. To Mordechai. Yes. Thank you. She wanted Haman to have to give a haircut to Mordechai. So Amalei, Amai Komis Nagos, why are you complaining? Amalei, Gavra, the Habachashav Le Lamalka Mikulu Rabunai, somebody who was, again, Haman talking in third person about himself. Somebody who was so chashuv to the king more than anybody else. Hashti L'Shavi Balani V'Sapar. Now he became a bathhouse man and a haircut and a barber. Amalei Russia, V'Lav Sapar Shel Kfar Kortzim. He said, you used to be a barber. So what are you complaining? Fine. So Tana Haman Sapar Shel Kfar Kortzim Esim V'Shtayim Shana. Not only was a barber, he has a barber with 22 years experience, right? In Kfar Kortzim. After he gave him the haircut, he took the haircut really. Lavshinu lamani, he put him on the clothing. Amrlei sak v'rachav, go up and ride on the horse. Amrlei lo yechilna, I can't. Tikhisha chiloi mimei tanisa. I'm weak because of my strength is weakened because of the fast. Gachin b'salik. So Haman bent down, and Mordechai Salik went up on top of Haman to get on the horse. Kisalik bought bay. When he was going up, he kicked Haman. Amarle, so here's Simon. Here's where Haman clearly was educated. Amarle, like Sivlahu, did it not write Benfal Aivecha al Tismach? Doesn't the passuk say that when your enemies fall, don't be happy? So that's what Haman asked Mordechai. Amarle, Hani Mili Yisrael. That's only by Yid. Al Biditku, but by you, Ksiv Ata Al Mesenu Tidrach, and you're gonna step all over the bombers. The right on the what do you call it? How do you touch bombers again? On the doesn't literally mean the bomber, it means the chashuva places. What blot did we have? How many blot ago we had this question? I couldn't remember what daf. That you're not supposed to be happy. So he said Hashem is not happy when the goyim die, but we can be. So this l'chayra seems to disagree with that.
We talked about it by the Shira. It wasn't so long ago.
Right, by the Shira, yeah, but I couldn't remember what daf it is. It wasn't that long ago. But I was just wondering if this disagrees or agrees with that pshat.
I mean,
why would I disagree?
I mean, it's all I got it to know.
But like, from there, it sounds like you're not even the Yidden. Well, at least Hashem is here. It sounds like there's no nafkamina. It depends what the teretz was. There was a different teretz.
There was Hashem isn't happy. And by Pesach, right. Hashem told the Malachim they can't be happy. But a lot of Klal Yisrael is supposed to be happy.
I don't know. Anyways, okay, so Vayikra lefanav kacha in writing, so he said in front of him, Kacha yasil isha shar melech hafetz bikarai. Yeah, this is what Hashem wants to give chashiv. This is what the Melech wants to give chashivas to. When he was going on the road in front of Haman's house, Chazisi Barte de Kaima Igra, his daughter saw who was standing on the roof. Sabra hide the Rachiv Avus. She thought that the one who's riding is her father. Behind the Miski Kameh, and the one walking in front of the horse, leading the horse, is Mordechai. So Shakla Atzitza the base Kise. She took the chamber pot, and she dumped it on her father's head. Dali Eine, he lifted up his eyes.
Wait, this means she dumped it?
What?
Shadise means she threw it, not dumped it. The whole chamber pot had his head. Not just the contents. Contents and the pot.
So I don't know, but clearly the pot didn't just land. It went upside down and got all over him. So I thought maybe it broke on him. I don't know. So Dali Eine, he looked up for Chazas Davuhu, and she saw that was her father. She fell off the roof and she died. Doesn't sound like she jumped. It just sounds like she just fell off. Now we've had it before that Nafla. It's debatable. Yeah. Anyways, and Mordechai went back to the gates of the king. He went right back to his wearing his sackcloth and his fasting. And he went home with he ran home to his house, and he was oval and he was dirty. Aval Avel albita, he was an avel on his daughter, but chafi roish al she'ira, and his head was covered because what happened to him, meaning he was full of excrement. And then he went and told it over to his whole family. So Karlu Ayavav, they called the people he loves, but Karlu Chachamav, and it's also the Chachamim. So Amar Rav Yochanan Kala Aimer Davar Chachma Afilu Ba'umas Ha'olam Nikra Chacham. Anybody who says something smart is considered a Chacham even by the Umas Ha'olam. Right? So in Mizera Yehudim Mordechai, if Mordechai is from the Yidden, right? Amrulei imishar shvatim kasi. If he comes from the other shvatim, yechalas lei, then maybe you'll win. Bimishevet Yehuda ben Yaman Ephraim Menashe. But if he's one of the either from Yehuda ben Yaman Ephraim Menashe, lo yachlas, that you're not going to be able to win. Yehuda dichsiv yadcha ba'arefei becha. Right? It says your hand is going to be on the neck of your enemy. Enoch, the other ones, dichsiv behu lefnei Ephraim ben Yaman Menashe ayres kurasecha. Right, he's going to show your strength. So therefore, they're much stronger. If he's one of those 4 shvatim, then forget about it. He's too strong. Fine.
Didn't we say in the Gemara that Daniel was the one that brought back the Aseret Shvatim at the beginning of the second base of Mikdash? That was after this. How do you have 4 shvatim?
He's one of them, no?
Well, who are the Aseret Shvatim? There are only 2 left.
I don't know. Maybe he just slipped through. Right? I don't know. Anyway, so Kinafal Tipa Lafana, when she fell in front of him, Yehuda, I'm sorry, not she fell, when you will fall in front of him. I mean, they said you're going to fall, forget it. So Yehuda, why is it Nafal Tipa, a double lashon of falling? Amrulai, so they told Haman, this nation is comparable to dirt and to stars. Kishahain, Yarden al Offer. Right? When they go down, they're mamish down and out. They're like the dirt. When they're good to their mamish stars.
What's the Shiloh? What's the Shiloh? Forget about what the but what's the Shiloh that he's possibly from Ephraim or Menashe? The passuk in Megilla is Yehudi, is Shemini.
I mean that it was what was their Shiloh?
What's the Gemara Shiloh here? What?
Maybe they didn't
excuse
know.
me, when they said this, there was no Megillah yet.
No, this is Gemara. Of course, there was a Megillah.
No, we're talking about Zeresh. This was Zeresh. What Zeresh said to Haman.
His advisors that night.
So they didn't know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's the advisors, but the question is, the advisors seem to be pretty educated. So I hear where your kasha is, meaning they should have known. They were so educated, they knew psukim and nach. Maybe they should have known epis, no? So I don't know. Okay, the Sarisa Melech Higiu Be'avilu, and the Sarisa Melech came there, and they were going quick, meaning the officers. Malamed Sheviu B'Bahala. They brought him quick, meaning he didn't have. Rashi says he didn't even have time to clean up. Fine. So Kinim Karna Nivami. So now when Esther was talking to Achashverosh, so she said, my whole nation is being sold, right? Over the years, and it's not even worth. It's not the damage to the king is not even worth it to the people looking to damage us. So Amrullah. So Esther said to Achashverosh, this person who's the enemy doesn't care about damaging the king. Ikniba Vashti Vakatla. He was jealous of Vashti and killed her. Hashta Ikniba Didi Mikdali. And now he's jealous of me and he wants to kill me. Right? So he says, so Vayomer said twice. First, he would talk to her through a turgaman. Since she said, I come from Shaul, like we had before, that she was descended from Shaul because of the tznius. Then he started talking to her straight, because that means that she had some royalty to her. Till then, he didn't know she had royalty to her, so he couldn't really talk to her, right? The king of England, who didn't he just die? He wasn't the king, whatever. he was never allowed to walk in the same. He wasn't allowed to walk with his wife. He had to walk a few steps behind because he wasn't the right.
He's the royal consort.
Right, whatever. Right, so these mishigas. I don't even call it mishigat. Whatever. So now Achashverosh started talking to her. Fine, but time Esther ish tzar v'ayev haman hara hazeh. Right, so Amar Rebbe Lazar Malamed Shoyes mechava klape Achashverosh. Really, she started pointing to Achashverosh. Uvav malach v'sata yada klape Haman, and the malach came and moved her hand towards Haman. V'amelach kam b'chamasai, and the melech got up when he was angry. V'amelech shav meginas habisan, and he came back from the garden of the palace. Makish shiva lekima. So we make a hekish between him coming back to when he got up. Makim b'chema. When he got up, he was angry. Af shiva b'chema. When he came back, he was still angry. He saw Malachi Asharas looking like men, and they were taking out the trees from the garden. What are you doing? Haman asked us to do this. So also then he came into the house. And Haman was on the bed. Neifel, it's what I mean. Neifel is falling as a present tense. It shows that he fell on the bed. So Rabbi Lazar Melamed Shabam Malach v'pilu. The Malach came and kept pushing him back down on the bed. He was trying to get up, and the Malach came and kept pushing him down. Omar vaymi beisa vaymi bra. He says, "Woe is to me in the inside in the house, and woe is in the outside." Meaning Haman is all over the place, causing all sorts of damage. Do you also want to conquer the queen while I'm in the house? And then Charvaina said. Right, so Amar Rabbi Lazar, Af Charvaina Russia b'Isa Eitzahaya. Charvaina was really he was a Russia too, Charvaina. But Kivan Shira Shalenis Kami Atzasik. So of course, like what Rishayim do, he quickly switched teams. Since he saw that the Eitz is not going to work, Miyad Baruch, so he ran away and he tried to go onto the winning team. Right, and he will throw him away from him, and he's not going to have Rahmanis, right? And he's gonna run away. Fine. So the only thing in the song, though, once we're sticking with the theme of asking Kasu, v'gam charvaina zocher latoiv, right? But he was really the enemy. So what's v'gam charvaina zocher latoiv? I guess he did help out in the end. I guess.
Good advice at the right time.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's what you have to say, though. What
like
is
Asa. Asa was able to get his head in Maris Machpelah because he did something good. He's mentioned for goodness. He's a Russia, but he's also mentioned for goodness.
So if people name the kid Shim, she wanted to name him Charvaina.
Yeah, I hear. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So shtei shrivas halalu lama. Why were the two shrichos? These two. It says that he was calm. Shachacha. Did I skip that? Did I skip? No, yeah. The anger of the king calmed down. There were two shrichas. What do you mean? Why is it spelled shachacha? It should be shacha. One is referring to Hashem, right? Meaning Hashem, Hashem's anger went on with the Nebuchadnezzar, then bowing down to Nebuchadnezzar. That was calm. Some say the anger of for what happened to Esther, and one of Vashti. Yeah, fine. So lekulam nasan leish chalifas smalas ulevyamin nasan chamesh chalifas. Right now we go and we're talking about the end. This is actually 2 weeks ago's parsha, right? That Yosef gave to all his brothers. He gave one set of clothes, and Binyamin got 5. Is it possible that what was mitzar that tzaddik, Rabbeinu, you should really take it over from here. I'm sure you got all the info on this, right? So it's meaning what he gave more to his brothers, and now he's going to cause jealousy. Isn't that what started the whole Yosef issue in the first place?
Maybe he's giving them a chance to do tshuva.
Oh, I was wondering that. So you kosher, are they going to be michshel in it again? Dama right on number base. Dama Rabba Barmachsi Yom Rav Chama Bargu Yom Rav B'Shvil Mishkal Shnei Slaim Melas, because of 2 slaim of wool. Shahaisef Yaakov Lahaisef Misharecha. Yosef misharechav, that Yaakov gave more to Yosef from his brothers. So niskagul adavar v'yodu avsein on the Mitzrayim. That's how the whole thing happened, and it went down to Mitzrayim. Right? So how could it be that Yosef did the same thing? Samar Rabbi Yamin by Yefes, remez ramaz loy. He was giving a remez to Binyamin Shasid ben Lotzes Mimenu, that a son was going to come out from that there's going to be a son, meaning Mordechai is going to come out from the king with with 5 clothing articles of clothing from the king. How does it go? Right, so that's what he was trying to hint to him, right? So
that the five were equal to the one.
Right. So that's what, yeah, very good. Yeah, who says that? I forgot already. So really, what came out that financially, the 5 pieces of clothing that he gave were equal to the 1. Right? Now, I just stamakasha.
Dave, we can't hear you.
It's very low. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Rabbi Dave was saying that the five articles of clothing were equal to each one of the one set of clothing that they each.
Tell him, me and Shia wouldn't accept that 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry.
You didn't go. They didn't buy that.
No
pun intended.
No.
I have a different kasha. I don't understand. The Gemara is saying that because of this, that's why the whole Maisa happened. But in the end, didn't Yosef say this is why it happened? Otherwise, the Shvatim would have died from starvation. Nobody was going to feed them, right? That's what Yosef says at the end of Vayechi. He says, this whole thing, what do you guys feel bad? He said, this whole thing happened so that we can all be alive. Not only that, Mamish just before this had a Chavrusa learning Sanhedrin, where it says that Yosef is considered the father of the Shvatim, because if not for him, they wouldn't have.
He supported them. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's considered their father, right? So if not for this whole Maisa, so then, meaning it just shows that you can still complain when something bad happens to you, even though in the end, it ends up being good. I don't mean complain. I'm saying, you say like, why? How can you complain? The whole survival of Yiddishkeit happened because Yosef was sold. But Elamai was still saying, oh, it shouldn't have been done. What do you mean it shouldn't have been done? About that should have been done. What's the question? Maybe, who knows? Maybe something great come out from Yosef giving 5 clothing to Binyamin and nothing to anybody else. Or we want to everybody else. Ich weiß nicht. I don't know. Fine. Right? And he fell on the neck of his brother Binyamin. How many necks did he have? Which is quite interesting. That's got to be a Purim question, right? Because it's Megillah that the Gemara asks. Because just another way of saying that Savari is plural. So he's saying, how many necks did he have? Yeah. So anyway, Zamar Rebbe Lazar, Bachal Shnei Miktashim. He was crying on both Batei Mikdash. Asidin Liyas Bechalkash Binyamin, Vasidin Licharik. And they're both, based on Mikdash was in Binyamin's Chelek and Eretz Yisrael, and they're both going to be destroyed. Binyamin Bachal Tzavarav, and Binyamin cried on his neck. Bachal Mishkan Shilai, because of the Mishkan Shilai, Shasaliyas Bechalkash Yosef, right? The Mishkan Shilai, like we learned about last week, and Va'asar Licharim, and it's going to also be destroyed, right? Fine. Then it says, V'hine Einechem Rais V'hine Achi Binyamin. You see that, you see. So Yosef told his brother, "You see, your eyes see, and you see my brother Binyamin." Samar Rebbe Lazar, Amar Lehem. So Yosef was telling me, "Shame, shame, believe al Binyamin achi shaloi ha'ivim mechirasi." Just like I don't have any tinus on Binyamin because he wasn't even around by the mechira. Kach ein believe alechem. I don't have on my heart anything on you either. Kipi amadaber alechem, because the mouth that's speaking to you, kipi kain libi. The same way my mouth is talking, my heart is the same as my mouth, and I don't have any tinus. Right? Ula Aviv, so then my uncle told me on Shabbos that Rabbeinu Bechaya says that Lamaisa he never said the word Michael. Because L'chara, what's Asar Ruge Malchus? It's if they did Mechila, if he was Michael, so then what's so he said at Rabbeinu Bechaya, he didn't tell me where it was, who said that Lamaisa Yosef never said he was Michael, which is pretty scary. But I don't know.
There's like a 4 or 5 way machlokas whether they come out that he never said that he was Michael, and that's really what the problem was. He was never, he never went back. He never said it, and that's why they had the Harugim Malchus. That's Rebbeinu Bachid. A few 2 other Rishonim that say the same thing.
Here, okay, interesting. Okay,
that's
so
why
by
when
Turul-
somebody says what they bring that when like we have today in the yeshiva, Michael, no, you got to say it the Pamole. That's
Right.
the only way that somebody's giving the chila.
Right. How about texting it? Can you text it? Okay. All right. Ulav shalach kazais, right? And he sent to his father like this: Asara chamarim, 10 chamarim, noisim mitub Mitzrayim, carrying all the best things from Mitzrayim. My mitub Mitzrayim. What's the best of Mitzrayim that Yaakov sent to Yosef sent to Yaakov? Amar Yom Bar Yefes, Amar Rebbe Lazar, Shalach leyayin yashan. He sent them old wine, shadas kenim noichemenu, that elderly people like it. Right? V'yelchu gam echa v'yiblu b'vanam, and his brothers came and they fell in front of him. Amar Rebbe Binyamin Bar Yefes, Amar Rebbe Lazar. Rebbe Binyamin Bar Yefes said the name of Rebbe Lazar. Hayro damji injury. You can't make up that name either, right? Binyamin Bar Yefes for this case. Hayro damri inchi tala beidnei sagidlei. When the fox is at the time he's doing good, so then you have to bow down to him. So Gemara asks, Tala, my b'tzirusa me'achur. Were you calling him a fox? A fox is a negative. So you're calling Yosef a fox? That a fox, when he's doing well, you got to bow down to him? Why was he any worse than his brothers? Eli yidmar hachi yidmar. Vayishtachu Yisrael arosh hamita. That Yisrael, meaning Yaakov Avinu, when Yosef came, so he bowed down on his bed. Amar Rebbe Yom Bar Yefes, Amar Rebbe Lazar, Tala be'idnei sagile. When the fox is in his proper time, then you bow down to him. Meaning Yaakov does not have to bow down to his son. But since Lamaisa, Yosef was what do you call it, Adam Chashav at that point, so then he had to. Fine. And he was menachem them. He comforted them and he spoke to their hearts. He was telling them things that should be accepted on their hearts. This was his mashal. Asara Neirus. 10 Neirus, meaning the 10 Shvatim, because again, Binyamin wasn't alive. The 10 Shvatim were not able to put out one candle, right? The 10 Shvatim, 10 candles, were not able to put out one candle, meaning Yosef. So Ner Echad, Heich Yachal Chabes Asara Neirus. How can one Ner put out 10? Meaning if you 10 couldn't get me, so how me being one get 10 of you? So that's how he tried to calm the Shvatim down. I mean, you clearly see the Shvatim had a lot of charata. That's for sure. You see Rabbana right from the mice. I mean, they really had a lot of charata, or they were just scared. Rashi really says that they were scared.
The Chumash says that they were scared. They said,
yeah, they were scared. So
that was the big problem. They said, yeah, he's going to do bad. And so, then they sent over Billah to be mafias them. That the father said before he died, that you shouldn't do anything.
Right.
But the Chumash
this all happened,
says that they did it because they're scared.
Right. This all happened after.
And that's why they bring that Yosef cried.
Right, because they were choshed, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that? Yeah. This all happened
that's
after
what they bring, that
was
Yosef cried was they wouldn't. That because the only reason that they asked for, that they did this thing was because they were afraid. It wasn't maybe a real
right.
Charata. It was just out of fear.
Yeah, right. So that's because Yaakov was already nifter, so they were afraid now Yosef will take his revenge. Yeah, very good. Okay, so Yehuda right? Famous passuk. Yeah, these are your niggin. Yeah, so Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Ira zu Tyra. Ira is referring to Tyra. Because that Haman took away 4 things. He took away the Tyra, Simcha Yomtiv, and you can now keep Yomtiv. Sasan Zumila, V'cheinu Aimer Sasa Neichelim Rasecha, V'yikar Elu Tfilin, V'cheinu Aimer V'ro Kal Amei Aretz Kishem Hashem Nikra Alecha V'yorom Mimecha. So that's the 4. That's what is the Yidden had everything back. Tani Rebbe Eliezer Agadol Aimer.
Where's V'yikar? Is that from Nikra?
What?
Kishem Hashem Nikra? Where's the V'yikar?
No.
Kal Amei Aretz Kishem Hashem Nikra Alecha? That's what it's from?
No, I think. Is it V'yaru? Is it V'yaru? Yikar. I'm saying he's saying
Shem Hashem Nikra Lecha is because you're wearing tefillin. So Shem Hashem.
I don't think it's from Nikra. I don't know. I thought maybe V'yaru meaning it's something awesome. So tefillin shabarosh is because that's something that's real chashuv. I don't think it's necessarily a mamash play on the actual word, but I hear it. You want to say bikar is dikra? I don't know. Okay, Ves Pashan Dasa, Aseres B'nei Haman. Right? So Amar Rav Ada Dimin Yafa, Aseres B'nei Haman Vaseres, it says Vaseres B'nei Haman, right? And the word Aseres, Tzarich L'mamrinu B'neshim Achas has to be said in one breath. My taima, Kulu, Bahadi Adadi, Nafku Nishmasayu. Their neshamas all went out at the same time. Yeah, fine. Amar Rav Yochanan, Vav Devaisasa, I meant to bring a Megillah, but I forgot.
So a guy has a full neshama? Nafki nishmasayu?
I guess so.
Nafshasayu would l'chayr have been, according to the Sfar, more correct.
You're right.
It's not nishmasayu.
I hear. And Hanami. Sounds like they have a neshama. Yeah.
This is Bnei Banav Shalama.
Maybe. Yeah. So Amar Rav Yochanan, Vav Devaisasa, which is one of Haman's son's names, Tzarech Lemimtecha Beskifa, needs to be much longer than the other words. Kimaradaya deliverers, like a pole that they used in the Liverous River. My timer, what's why? So Kulu B'chad Skifa is because they were all hung on one skifa, one pole, right? One on top of the other. Fine. So Amar Rav Chanina Bapapa, Dorosh of Shila Ishkvar Tamarta, Kol Hashiras Kula Nichtavos, all the shiras are written, Ariya Chagabi Levena, half a brick on top of a whole brick. I don't know if anybody ever saw the Parshas. I forgot. I meant to. Aaron Kaplan. There's no pictures today, right? There's a brick on top of a half a brick, right? Meaning the way the way Oz Yosha is written. So it's written at the end of the lines, and then a little longer, and then thinner, and then longer, thinner, right? Ulevein Gabi Ariach, and then a brick on top of a half a brick. Chutz mishira zu umalche knan, except for this shira, right? And the Malchei Kna, which is in Yeshua. Shariach al gabi ariach uleveina al gabi leveina. It's a half brick on top of a half a brick and a full brick on top of a full brick. This mamish, this line, this you mamish. I don't know if you're not a makubal, how you can understand this line in the Gemara. My taima shalaite tkuma lama palas, and they shouldn't be able to get up from there being knocked down. Right? These were both negative. The Haman and
if you look at a brick, that if let's say the letter moves to the middle, it'll fall on the next brick. That's between the two bricks.
Right, I understand. So now we're saying that these.
Yeah, but by the Megillah there's nothing. So if they go a little bit out, it goes all the way down.
Right. So does that mean that now what these guys are going to come back alive and climb out of where they were knocked down because the way we write it in the Torah, in the Nach?
Maybe it's not going on them. It's going on, I guess.
No, Rashi says they shouldn't be able to protect themselves as they're falling down. They should just fall.
They should fall all the way down. Yeah, there's nothing to protect them. That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not
makes sense because there's nothing in the middle. Let's say they fall off and there's something right, a floor below. Then they could fall onto the floor and they'll be okay.
Right, like in the, what's it called? Not in the comics. What do you call it? In the Sunday morning. What do they have it on TV? The cartoons, right? The kid falls off the cliff. He always hangs on to something. Right, in the cartoons.
There's something there, right.
Right, so you're grabbing on. So that's what the Gemara is saying.
Right, there's nothing in the middle.
So here the Gemara is saying, but here the Rishayim, we don't want anything in the middle so they can't grab on as they fall down. What? Right. We're just saying over a story. These guys are not alive laying on top of the words inside the Megillah. Okay.
It's like the Simanim on Rosh Hashanah. It's the same thing. It's for Sinai Yisrael.
It has to be. That's a good.
This is to make your brother's shul feel good, you know.
I hear. I don't know. I hear the two shtelta. Maybe it's just like Simonim, like Rosh Hashanah. Okay, I hear. Fine. But Lester Amalka Bashushan Abira Hargar Yehudim. And Shushan Abira, they killed the Yidden killed. Amar Abavo Malamet Shabov Malach the Satra Piv. Amalek came and hit him on his mouth because he was really going to complain Achashverosh that they were killing too many people. Rashi says. So the Malach came and stopped him. Omar im ha-sefer. And when Esther came in front of the Melech, she said with the sefer. Omar, Omrami, by the way, saying Omar. It was a lady talking. Should be Omra. So Rabbi Yochanan, Omra loy, yomer b'pem ha'shekaza b'sefer. She said to him, right, that the Megillah should be read just like it's written, meaning not only should it be written down, but also has to be read also. Divrei Shalom ve'emes, Amar Rav Tanach Rami lo Amar Rav Asi melamed shetzricha sirtut. It needs sirtut, right? If you look in the Sefer Torah, each line has to have something scratched into the klaf. So the Megillah needed it too. Kamita Torah, like a real Sefer Torah. Umaimer Esther Kaim, and the words of Esther were Makuyim. Maimer Esther in Divrei Atzamas Loi, only what Esther said, yes, but not the fast days, right? Meaning it's only what Esther said, that's what made the nace, but not the fasting. So Rabbi Yochanan, Divrei Atzamas, Umaimer Esther Kaim es Yemei Pura Ma'ela, right? The fasting and what Esther said are being Makayim these words, yeah? So fine. So then Ki Mordechai Yehudi Mishnah L'Melech HaChashver. Okay. Yeah, let's stop here. Let's stop because it's a whole new sugi about the Talmud Torah and all that. So we'll stop here and then we'll continue it tomorrow. Tomorrow's daf is shorter than today's.
You ever hear the Groz Pshat why Esther invited Haman to Achashverosh?
Oh, the Groz Pshat. I heard it. What was it?
It was based upon the Gemara in Pesachim saying that she was a nida, and a nida, a man shouldn't walk in between two women, and a woman shouldn't walk in between two men. And if the whole
if they do that, then bad things happen, right?
He said if a nida walks through two men, either it's going to cause one of them to die or cause machleka. So if one of them is going to cause machleka, is great. One of them to die, great. So Haman would die. What happens if Achashverosh dies? So he brings down the Gemara in Sanhedrin, I think it's in Sanhedrin. I think it's in Sanhedrin. If a melech dies, then the gezer is batal le'olam. So Mimanav Shach, she was going to come out ahead. She was going to walk between them. She was in need, the Gemara says. Either there's going to be machlekes, great, or Haman would die, great. And even if Achashverosh dies, if the king dies, then the gezer is batal.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting pshat.
Yeah.
Really,
the passuk in Vayichi is Vayiru Acha Yosef Kimesav V'yem, something like that. Vayomru Lu Yisavenu Yosef V'choshev Yosef Lonu Es Kol Ora Asher Gemalmu Oisoi. And he's going to do bad to us, so that's why they went and they So it wasn't really like, did they really have total charata, or was it because they were afraid?
Right.
The passuk from the Mashra, the passuk shot the passuk is they were afraid.
Right.
That's what I bring. That's why Yosef cried, because he said, "This is what they because they're afraid. This is what it is."
Right. I hear you.
Maybe you could say, by the way, by the five articles of clothing, maybe you could say that it was just fakert. If the five were equal to the value of one of them, maybe it would make Binyamin jealous of his brothers.
Well, if it's equal, why are they jealous?
Yeah.
You mean
everyone got $1 and I got 4 quarters, or 5.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Punja.
Okay, shkoyach.
Yeah, we got Punja back from the original Dafin boys. I was gonna say welcome back, Punja.
Peretz.
Yo.
I caught your line about the Hasidim. I like that. And what about the husband? Anyone else catch that? That was funny.
Yep.
We heard it.
Parrots. You saw what I sent you already?
I mean, I live it every day.
It's what exactly.
Aaron, you're not coming tomorrow, right?
I know. I was just about to ask you. Going into the work tomorrow?
Well, I got COVID in the building, so.
Yeah, I ain't coming.
Enter at your own risk, baby.
I ain't coming. That's why
I'm flying tomorrow. How is it in 5 towns? Everyone has it?
I don't know. It seems to be wild again.